I'll be demonstrating how to check the bearings and the shock mounting bushes on a Giant Faith and also a Giant Glory, which is a very similar frame. Before you take anything off it, it's a good idea just to take the back end and the front end and just give it a try to push it towards each other. Get that noise? If you look, once you spring is a bit slack. Now there's play in these front bushes there. If I put my finger next to the bush and rock it like that, backwards and forwards, I can feel it. Put my other finger at the back there, check this bush. Both of these bushes have got play. Because it is quite bad play, there's obviously a good amount of wear in there. Chances are you might have to replace these outer bushes rather than just the inner eyelet bush. Now that we know the bushes need changed, we're going to take the shock off. It's a little bit tricky on this bike, it's not that tricky. First things first, we're going to slacken off this bolt. Leave it sitting there. Now we want to get into this bolt. Obviously we can't get the bolt out because the frame folds it, but what I'm going to do is slacken this off just now. I'm going to slacken this off, and I'm going to slacken this other side off as well. Now when you work with alloy bolts, always try and get the Allen keys as far into them as you can. Sometimes you can get mud and dirt in there. I would just get the mud and the dirt out of it. If you look at the bolt and you see that it's got any kind of dirt or stuff in there, get a pin, get a toothpick, get whatever you can find and just get that dirt out of there, because the last thing you want is to put the Allen key in, just a small amount, and then round it, and you've only got half the gripping area once you've rounded it. Now we've slackened that off. What we're going to do now is remove this bolt here. Get out of the way and take off these bolts. Behind these bearings there are two spacers. If you wanted to catch those spacers, it's always a good idea to have a nice clear area. You don't want to have any rubbish on the floor. If the frame hasn't been serviced for a while and you try and take the bolts out and they're stuck, the best thing to do is just blast everything with WD-40 and leave it for a while, maybe overnight. If you've not got WD-40 oil, any kind of oil you can get your hands on, just put it into them and leave it to seep in. Obviously if you do blast them with WD-40, you will more likely than not have to open up your bearing seals and grease them back up again. That's if the bearings are worth saving. If you're renewing the bearings, that doesn't really matter. Now I'm not going to let that drop just now. What I'm going to do is put this bolt over to the side. Always a good idea to have some kind of container or tub, just put everything into it. If you can get a sealable one, that's even better. I'm going to take this bolt out, and then I'm going to put my hands under here and catch these two spacers. Now that I've got this far into it, I want to get this bolt out of the way. At this point, I've got two options. I can either take that out of the way and keep stripping it, or I can just check the bearings. Now, that should be rotating a lot easier than that. These bearings are not very smooth. They're pretty notchy. You can see they're not really running through the travel properly. They sound gritty as well. You won't get much more life out of these bearings. I would think the best idea is to renew them. You can already see now that I'm taking this bolt out that there's an awful lot of play in these bearings as well. See that play there? You've also got play here. The bearings need renewed. There's no point running them in your frame. And that is basically how you get in to check your bearings. These ones, a shake test and just a rotational test. You can hear how gritty they are. I would renew them. These ones, you you just put your fingers into them and rotate them. They're not too bad. You could run these ones, but since the rest of them are getting replaced, I'll replace those as well. But these ones here, these ones are probably the worst out of the lot and definitely need replaced. So you check your bearings on a Giant Faith or Glory.